back with another video. In this video, I'm going to give a review of the Netflix movie Dark. And the thing about this movie is that this is like what all movies are. It's about an apocalypse. And in this movie, it's apocalypse has to do with time. Time is being destroyed, and as well as I guess everyone on the planet, and everyone on the planet except those that are in a particular bunker, and it's resetting to a new era. And in this movie, it's based on the alignment of the sun and the moon, and the dates is what caught my attention. It is the dates the apocalypse was supposed to come. I think it was November or something 2020, and the start of the apocalypse was November 4th, 2019 of this year. So that's what this movie is all about. Now, in watching the movie, I think this is like 2 seasons, and I would watch all of the first season. The second season, I was so engrossed into it that I stayed up till like I think like 5:30 yesterday morning. I was at 5:30 this morning. 5:30 this morning, I was still awake, and the moon. I think it's the. It looked like a half moon to me. But daybreak had already come. The light from outside was already coming in through my curtains. And my grandson, who was around there, playing a game to that time, and he goes to lay down, and I told him he'll probably wake up around 12 o'clock. I don't work and he's here, so he don't go to school, so it's no big deal. But anyway, he looks out. He said, "Oh, look outside." I said, "Yeah, it's day." I said, "Daylight outside." He goes to the and pulls the curtain back. He said, "It looked more like the moon." So I went outside and um, I looked at it on my iPad with the sky view, and it said it's the fourth quarter of the moon. It's either in the third quarter or the fourth quarter. Let me take a quick look on this iPad. I think it says it's in the fourth quarter of the moon. Let me make sure. It's called Sky View. You can go get in there, and it gives a very vivid picture of the stars. You can actually see them you can actually see the stars and everything in your house on your iPad. It's really fascinating. So let me find the moon and see where it is. Okay, plug you out so I can move you around better. It's a lot of stars. I'm looking at Saturn with the rings. Oh, here's the moon right here. And it says the moon is currently in its last quarter phase, 22.9 days into the lunar cycle. So that's where the moon is right now. It's in the last quarter stage. So that said, he goes to the window and he looks out, And he said it looks like the moonlight. So I go to when I look out. Sure enough, the sun was barely the sun was rising in the east of us. It had barely come up. This was around like 5:30, something to 6 o'clock in the morning, between 5:30 and 6 o'clock in the morning. So the sun hadn't quite rise yet, I don't think. But anyway, the sun is in the east to the left of me, and they got the on the iPad where you can actually see, um, know exactly where east, west, and whatever is. So directly, directly in front of my room, through my sliding glass door where I sit in my bed on my laptop most times. The moon is just right there, and it's very bright. It's high. It's usually behind the trees, but this time it's high up. It's very clear in not a cloud in the sky, and the moon is there, and it's this moon in the final quarter. So the moon is so bright that the cloud is like daylight outside. When I look outside, I could tell it wasn't quite daylight. So I told him it's dawn before daylight. So that's what he saw. So it was still moonlight, and then as the sun rises, then you can actually see where the sunlight um absorbed the moonlight, and now the sky now is daylight. So with all that said, this movie called Dark. The name of the movie is Dark, and it's a movie basically about time travel, and in the time travel and the apocalypse in the movie has everything to do with um, um, the end of the world, the apocalypse. Because all the movies that I've seen lately, it's all about the apocalypse. Like the one with the Umbrella Academy. I watched that one, it was about the apocalypse. And then the one I saw after that one, I forgot the name of it. It too was about the Independence was about the apocalypse. And I saw a few more. But this one, as all the rest, is about the apocalypse. And the apocalypse would be, from what I understand in the movie, is the end of time, and B will be coming into a new era. And where the moon comes in at is every 33 years, the moon, every 33 years, the moon does something. Um, every 32 years, there's a change. And according to the movie, um, mm, the people in the movie, it's a family. And, and the family, they're all intertwined, because in the movie, the past and the future are the same. The beginning and the end is the same. So in the movie, it was this particular family. Well, it wasn't this. It was a family, but it was this particular town called Winden, and and in this town, all the people are intertwined with each other. For example, the movie starts out with um, in 1921. Was it 1921? It couldn't have been 21. It starts out in 1953. In 1953, the father hung himself. The father hung himself. That's how the movie starts out. And then the movie goes into the other parts, and then it's going back and forth, giving you a year. They'll give you a scene, and then they'll go back and show you a year before, or they'll go forward and show you a year earlier, or 10 years back, or however they do that. But anyway, it was um it was a lady in the movie that they called a white devil. She was a white lady with older cast knows a white. She had this long silver gray hair, and the movie ended up being about her and and another guy whose name was Jonas, I think. His name was Jonas. But he ended up being an old guy in the future that caused so much problems that he was trying to he was doing all of this, using people to go to the past and to the future to change things so he could do what he had to do, as well as the lady. Her name was I think her name was Charlotte Margaret. I think her name was Charlotte or Margaret. Anyway, she had a daughter named Regina, who she paid no attention to because in 1953 she was the very first woman to run a nuclear plant. And all of this happens in Germany. So this is a Germany setting. Now, in decoding what I saw in the movie, time travel was basically about reincarnation. It's mostly about reincarnation because the when in 1921 and they started building that nuclear plant, birds lost their ability to control their whatever they do when they fly, and they just fell out the sky, and all the birds' eardrums were burst, and they had these white spots on their feathers. So because of what was going on with with them in that nuclear power plant, it caused and this man said it was interesting because it also happened to sheep. He said exactly 33 sheep just fell dead for no reason. Just all across the pasture, just dead sheep. And he said, I said, I wanted there were 33 birds. But he said it was this farmer. He said there was 33 sheep. He did it watching all these dead sheep. 33. See, 33 is the number that is most important. Because it said every 33 years, the moon and the sun lines up a certain way or whatever. I'm studying it, but I haven't really got it down packed as far as understanding how the lunar and the sun, how they all line up and do whatever they do. But the 33 years is a complete cycle of the moon. And at that complete cycle, everything resets. Everything resets and starts all over again. So like in this movie here, the apocalypse was coming and there was nothing nobody could do to change it. And it's coming up in November. I think was it November? I think it was June. According to the movie, I think it was June or was it November? But anyway, I think it was it had to do with the man hanging himself. But anyway, exactly 33 years on that date, the apocalypse came, destroyed everything, and basically what it was doing was destroying time, which is the matrix. Time, the matrix, the system, it's destroying all of that, and then it's resetting. And instead of having time system, it's gonna be a cosmic system. So that's what. So that's the code that I'm getting from the movie. Now in the movie, the people were just playing parts, just playing particular parts to make sure that whatever happened. And the reason I say it had to do with reincarnation is because the thing what caught my attention, there was a little deaf girl in the movie. She was a little deaf girl somewhere in elementary school. And then her mother, her father, and she had another older sister and a brother. I forgot their names. I think Martha. Yeah, Martha is the older. Was it Martha? Martha. Martha and the other girl. His names or something else. But anyway, she had other siblings, but they had a little brother who was 11 years old named Miko. Around that same day that the man hung himself and told his son not to open that letter until now he killed himself. He hung himself in 1953, whichever is that shall be 33 years from 2019. So 33 years from I wrote it down for 32 years from 2019 backwards, whatever that year was. I think it was 1953 because of 2019, 1986. Yeah, what made me remember it because that's the age that my oldest son was born that year. So that's what made me. So that's how I'm keeping the dates in my mind. So 33 years from 2019 in 1986 is when he hung himself. In 33, and he told them don't open the letter until November 4th, 2019, exactly. 2019 at 10, I think 10, 14, something like that, AM, PM, whatever the time was, not to open that letter. So the mother had the letter, and she saw the letter, and she opened the letter, and she sat there and waited until that exact time to open that letter, and then she opened the letter, and opening that letter set the time for the apocalypse, is what it actually did. And even if she opened it set everything free, and that's when the 11-year-old Miko um, disappeared, went missing as a little boy. And how he went missing was every year on that time they were all going to the woods, and they play games, do whatever thing teenagers do, and they brought Miko, who wasn't supposed to be there, but the Bizot boy, he brought Miko, and that hole in that cave, that hole had all this sound was crazy, and it scared them, and they on and all this light coming out of the tunnel, and they all took off running. But somehow Miko, they were all running, and the dude that brought Miko, I think Miko was his brother, I'm not sure, but anyway, I get confused because it was a lot of people. But Miko went missing that night, and it took a while. When Miko went missing, it was because Miko, like I said, Miko was there, but he wasn't. He was just in the past. So he didn't go into the past or the future. So Miko went back into the past to 1986, And Miko, and even though a different one was going into the past, once they figuring out what's going on, to find Miko, the thing was Miko could never ever come back because Miko was the guy that hung himself in 1953. So if Miko, so Miko could not come back to the present to his mom, even though everybody was threatening and missing, and then there was two other kids that were missing, and 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 so Miko couldn't come back. So Miko was into the future, back at his school where he was. It's an elementary school now, like how, like when I went to my high school, and when I graduated and got married and all of that, the school is an elementary school, a middle school. So, so that's where Miko is. So Miko just a lost little boy sitting there. He don't know what to do. So this lovely little nurse, they was gonna put him in an orphanage, but the nurse just was attracted to him and she wanted to keep him, so she adopted him and kept him for herself. He was quiet and sick. He just sat around and just looking because he just don't. He realized where he was after he asked them what year it was, so he knew where he was. He just didn't understand why he was there. So the nurse, after a few weeks, nobody come get him, nobody knew where he was, and then she took him. She got the caseworker to allow her to take him home, and and she raised him. But anyway, Miko, the 11-year-old that disappeared at that particular time when the grandmother, which is the mother of the father of Miko, when the grandmother opened that letter and read it at the time that she did, um, he traveled through time back to 1986. And he was at the school. He was at his school in 1980. He went to his house first, and then he went to his school, and it was a completely different place. And you can imagine what the ages looked like. So, so he's there. He's stuck there. He can't go anywhere. Then the father. So they run around trying to figure out how to find Miko, and in decoding it, Miko was his. So the guy that hung himself, the Nielsen guy that hung himself in 1986, is Miko in 2019. They're they're one and the same. So that's why I say the reincarnation comes in at, because he hung himself in 86 and then he reincarnated into his son, to his grandson Miko. So Miko and his grandfather are one and the same. And so now while his father was doing all this crazy stuff, and he finally figured out the time travel. So they were going to this extremely dark tunnel. Just pulling themselves to these real tight places, and then they come to this door. And this door, it has everything to do with the nuclear plant, because they had all these, because the colors in the movie was red and yellow, red and yellow, which is, and I saw black on there, but it was mostly the black and yellow, and then it was red. But anyway, the black, it was these yellow canisters with this black symbol on it, which symbolizes toxic waste. And it had all these toxic waste there, and they sealed it off. But the toxic waste was the secret to time travel, as well as what caused the apocalypse, with the trigger for the apocalypse. But the trigger for the apocalypse was Miko's brother Jonas, who Miko brother is Jonas, and then there's another little girl that went to school with. Her name is Martha. Now, couldn't find out, and this is where another code comes in at, where the reincarnation comes in at. Martha is the aunt of Jonas, and in the movie they making it look like some incestuous thing, but there's nothing incestuous about it because these people don't live in the same time. So his aunt came back. So Jonah's aunt came back as his girlfriend's came back at his girlfriend, and they're made to feel bad because they like their incest. This ain't right because and they're 33 years apart. So you know they're not the same people. So that's where the reincarnation comes in. At. Now the thing is so it's so extraordinary that Jonas ended up being the guy that been waiting 66 years since 1953 to come back. And I couldn't understand what his mission was. But his mission was once everybody went through time being used to do what they being used for their missions to do this and that to make sure their apocalypse happens. In the end, when Jonas and all them did, everybody did what they're supposed to do, and even the preacher who had the book that was using these people to make sure that everything come about, he realized he was being used in the end by the guy that I think he by the guy that started all of this nuclear waste thing in the first place. And once the preacher realized after all this time, they thought he was an evil person because his name was Noah, because he was just using his people. And he realized he was being used too. Everybody realized they were being used in the end for the purpose of one person. And they thought it would be the lady they called White Devil. And then they had the old guy look like he got the toxic waste melted face and melted body. And him, so it was between him and her. But in the end, she was called the White Devil, and he was called God for some reason. But in the end, he ended up being Jonas, which is the brother of Miko. So Jonas is him in the future, in 2019, and he is in the future. He is also in 2019, living in wherever he was, and sitting back and using all these people to do all this time travel and do what they're supposed to do to make sure that the apocalypse happens. Now, in the end, the preacher got upset because he realized he's being used because the old guy, Jonas, who's been waiting 66 years, didn't tell his future self, Jonas, what his mission was, and had Jonas go out there and tell the guy that hung himself to convince him not to hang himself. But in the end, he found out that was a trick. That wasn't his mission. So I don't really understand what his mission was. But his mission was not to do what the man sent him on. And the two people that was working for him told him, why didn't he just tell him what his mission was? I guess he got a reason for what he do. But anyway, and then there is the deaf girl's mother, who is also um, she's also, the little girl, I forgot her name. Not only is the, she is her mother, the little deaf girl is the mother of her mama. So she is the daughter and the mother, or she's the daughter and the grandmother. It's how they all got offices, and they wanted them to go in and just fix all of this thing right here, because they think of people travel through time and got everything all out of whack. So they had them going back, fixing things, and then using people to go back and just do things to make sure that this don't happen or that don't happen. But the lady they call White Devil, and we find out that realize that she was the lady that got the very first, that became president of the nuclear plant, the very first woman to get that job ever in history. She was her, and I think her name was Magnus. I think her name was Magnus. But anyway, whatever. I might get the name, and you can look at the movie and get the name straight or whatever. But she was her mother. Cause she was a little girl. See, okay. As the father went back in time, Miko's father went through time and find his son. His little boy had a bunch of birds, and he was doing something with these birds. And he asked him, did he had a little box of birds, and like a little bird box, and he asked him, did he kill the birds? He said, no, they just fell out of the sky. Just like in 2019, all the birds just fell out of the sky for no reason. And he said, no, but he said he liked the bird dead. So the father got the great idea that this little evil boy is the reason all this is happening. So he goes kills the little boy, which is end up being which end up being him. It absolutely made no sense. So he he said, well, you the problem, and then if he kill him, he can change everything, and Miko will go back to the future, and everything will change. So he ended up killing the little boy and dragging him into this little bait. I guess they call it the thing on the ground when you have tornadoes. You put them in there, and then they done something, and the little boy came back to life and was in this other place where the other two boys' eyes were burnt out when they put this thing over their face. Why they were doing that, I don't know. Put this thing over their face and it burnt their eyes out, and he ended up being dead. So he came back alive, but and so because he killed the little boy, they thought he killed the other two little boys at the nuclear plant when they was having this meeting out there of the plans they had for that site, and then these two little boys just end up dead in the sand. And so they thought he killed those two boys. That's why he killed the this very rich guy's son, who is from 1921. So in 1921, he's the same person as the guy in 1953 who hung himself, who is the same person in 1980. No, he's the same guy in 1953 who was the police person, and police person who arrested the man for killing a little boy and all of that when they were trying to do the nuclear plant in 53. So in 21 is when they was getting it, when they was having all the discussions, and then in 53 they the lady ran the nuclear plant, and then in 86 the same guy in 21 was the guy in 86 who hung himself, and then the guy in 86 was the same guy in 2019. I mean, it's the child in 2019, Miko, that went back through time because everything was about Miko. Well, Miko was just a small part in it, but everything was about him when it actually wasn't because it was about everybody as a whole. It's a whole entire town. And the thing, and the way that he was, get what they want was to send Miko back through time. And Miko could never come back. So Miko get to grow up all over again knowing who he is. I mean, that's another thing. So he remembered all his past life. So that's another code. We're dealing with reincarnation. When they come back this last time, they will remember all their past lives. They remember who they was in 21, 53, 86, 2019, because the apocalypse was supposed to happen in 2020. So they show this toxic waste is green. It's like a big old giant black, huge black sun. But when it was whatever, it was a big old glob moving around with this kind of you know how, cause at nighttime when you're looking at the sky and the skies are really dark, it's super dark here. It didn't used to be this dark, but the skies are super dark. And then you see like the greenish, bluish in it. You see it kind of like that. So that's how this blob of nuclear waste was. And the mother, she ain't really talk to her kids, so Miko mother, she just completely consumed, and she in the end learn about this time thing. So she ended up going back and doing what to get her son. But the officer with the guy with this, it was time for the secret of the town to be known, and that's what the first movie was about, dark and secret. Which the secret was the nuclear waste that everybody in that town, it wasn't the nuclear waste itself was a secret, but everybody had their own secret that nobody that they were keeping. So nobody talked about anything, no matter what it was. So that's how that went. But in the end, we realized about the nuclear waste, and it got something to do. The nuclear waste got something to do with what's going on in the town when these children disappearing. So they got a search warrant and finally got us. It took them months to get the search warrant, but they finally got the search warrant, went in there, and they put on that orange, not orange, put on that yellow, because yellow was the color in the movie. Because Jonas had on a yellow jacket, and I guess Jonas represented the nuclear waste also, because Jonas was the old guy that looked like he got melted by the nuclear waste, radiation from it, because his face was like he was melted or something. And so, which is also Jonas. So, as he but in the end, the officers went in. See, thing about it, Miko mother, she also had an issue where she didn't know who her mama was because she was adopted and raised by some other people. They just took care of her, and so she never knew her mother. But in the end, all kinds of things happened because in the end, Jonas, who was the aunt of Miko's brother, Jonas, the old guy who's supposed to be God, who started all of this nuclear waste thing, is also the Jonas, which is Miko's brother, and who dated his aunt back from, and the aunt is from 53, come back and whatever. And yeah, her name was Martha. So Martha was the one he dated, but Martha was his aunt. And they got a problem. Martha sleeping with family, but see how they supposed to know? Because they're teenagers, and your aunt from 1953 comes all the way back to 2000 in the 2019 and y'all date. But anyway, they went in and they opened up they went in and they opened up. They got, cause they had it all sealed off with cement, but when they got there, they had to open it all up. And so Mika's mother, she realized what they were doing, and she realized none of this had anything to do with the missing children. It was about the nuclear waste, um, taking the past and the present, taking the past and the future, bringing it all together as one. So she realized that what was happening. So she went there to stop her co-worker from opening the can, but we wouldn't listen. So they opened the can, and all of them stood there in their yellow suits, and the look at the waste gooey thing comes up out of the can, and this big old giant glob with green in it, just waddling around like some ghost like thing you have in the movies. And then it formed into this big old black ball, like a black sun, huge. And then as it did that, it opened up. It was because it was time travel. It called time travel. So as it did that, it just opens up the time travel while Miko's mother is standing there. The mother, her daughter, who is also her mother, was on the other side. And it's, you see, this is the wall that they go through that you see in here. And it opened up like that. And her mother was like a military. I guess she was the best person to have in the military. She couldn't really hear anything. She couldn't hear, but she definitely would have killed you. She was a military type person, all muddy up, just, how these people, how these military people be, and they come out looking all dirty and whatever, like the walls of that cave. And it's like she was waiting. She's been waiting since 1953 to see her daughter. And she knew at that particular moment in time, she got there and she was standing there. And as that, the stuff the nuclear waste that came up out of the can and opened up that time in there, Miko's mother, I forgot her name, she could see her mother. And she's standing there looking and realizing this is her mother. And I don't think she's seen her since she was a little arm baby. So she sees her mother sees her, and they're walking toward this big old gaping hole that this nuclear waste opened up, which is time, and which is the portal through time. It happens every 33 years. And they're reaching toward each other. And while they were reaching toward each other, her mother went signing to talk. And when she signed in to talk, she realized what she was doing. And she stopped signing, because with her doing that, we knew right then and there that Mika's mother, her daughter, her deaf daughter, is also her mother, because that's her mother in the future. And doing my spiritual research, I learned to understand about about people coming back, especially through the information that Ashira is given, and then other YouTubers are also given. See, because I'm looking at Ashira is right now. Hers is clear in my mind because I get so much information. I don't hold it all in my in my temporary frontal lobe memory like that. But that these spirit beings, these souls, whatever they are, these beings, where we all come from, source and all of that, they get to come back, come back, a generation come back as their grandchildren or great grandchildren. So I already understood that before I watched this. So I understood that to a certain extent. And then this movie right here, to me, is the same thing. The mother in 53 is also her granddaughter in 2019 because they're both deaf. So that's how that went. And as they was reaching there to touch each other's hand, the whole movie went off. So and that was season 2. So I guess it'll start back there in season 3. But but anyway, I don't think season 3 is released yet. But anyway, and as all of this is going on, they're doing that. Then the guy, which is Jonas, the old guy, who also in 2019 was dating his aunt, he put on his suit and he steps into because this big old ball of nuclear waste was in this house where he was the whole time. So he steps into this big old black mass of matter, dark matter, I think what they call it, dark matter. He steps into it and he goes and he is transferred into through time into the house where himself as Jonah in 2019 and Martha, his aunt from 1953, and he's dating her, he's in love with her, they love each other. Now, he comes in there, he takes the gun because he had the 2 people that was helping him because before that the preacher came in to kill Jonas, the old guy who started all of this. He came to shoot him. He shoots the gun 2 or 3 times. It just clicks. There's no bullets in it or nothing, so it seems. He taking it out, checking and shooting, and just not killing the man because he told him it is not your fate to kill me yet. So he couldn't kill him. So the 2 people, the lady and the man that was helping him, they came and took the gun from him, and did whatever with the gun. And they pointed the gun and killed the preacher, who is Noah. So he killed the preacher. The preacher got the gun fired. The thing was, the death was meant for him. It wasn't meant for Jonas. So that's why the gun just clicked on him. But when it pointed at him, it fired. So that was his fate, to die that day. So Jonas, the old guy with the melted face, he gets into the dark matter of the nuclear waste, and he was transported to 2019. But he is in the future. He is in the future, 33 years in the future. So 33 years in the future would be he got to be 33 years in the future because Jonas is a teenager Jonas is a teenager in 2019, and then his older self is also from the future. I think the future is 2000. It's 33 years. 2000 right now is 20. 2020, 2000. I'm gonna add it 4, but then I gotta add up again. 2019. Let me go from 20 and minus 1. 2020, 2030, 2020, 2030, 2040. So 2043 minus 1 will be 2042. So 2042 is where Jonas, the old guy with the look like the toxic waste, melted the skin on his body, on his face and head and all of that. So he's into the future in 2043. Before I think, for some reason 43 keep coming to me as the number because this apocalypse happened in 2020 of November. So 2043 is where he is at the time, and then Jonas was also into the future. He came back to the future as older, even though in 2019 he was a teenager. He went to the future and came back 32 years older than he was in 2019. And so he was, so I guess his mission was over. So he was just stuck there because his mother, who had a whole nother agenda of her own, took his time machine, and then the kids, which is Miko's brothers and sisters who was trying to find him, they had a time machine, and they went in back to 1986 and saw their dad, an old man, 33 years into the future, and saw him. So, no, but in 86, he was still, he still looked like he did then, but he been there for 33 years, so even there, he looked like an old man. He was an old man in there because he been in there 33 years, and he was waiting for that. So he ended up, you know, the which is the wife of the man, the wife of the guy that hung himself. She was in love with him, but that's a whole nother thing. And she went back and destroyed him and turned him into an insane maniac, saying this and this and that. Yeah, see the movie, that was crazy. But anyway, with all of that, with all of that gone, I told you the part. So yeah, so Jonas for 2043, he comes back to 2019. He goes to that black matter, and he goes back to 2019 as himself, and saw himself, Jonas, as a teenager in 2019, because he was using Jonas. He was using Jonas from 2033 to go back and do this and this and that, and then once he went, and then he was stuck there, and then it was Jonas himself, 2019, and he done been through town and come back, and everybody done back where they supposed to be at the age, and Jonas is his age, and Jonas from 2043 comes back. He comes back, and he pulls out the gun. Now Jonas, teenager at the time, thinking he gonna kill him. I said, so you did all of that to come back and kill yourself? So what does he do? He turns to Martha and kills Martha, which is Jonas's aunt, who is also his aunt. And I was like, why he kill her? That made absolutely no sense. So he told Jonas, let her go. So he said, you will be okay. You know what he said? He told Jonas, which is his 2019 self, let her go. Let her go. So while he down there fretting over her, all in her blood and all of that, Jonas 2043 leaves. And who shows up? Martha. Martha, I know she's Martha. So apparently, she's Martha. I don't know where the Martha come from. But anyway, he said, Martha. He said, come on, you don't have much time. He's like, he can't figure out Martha's as a teenager dead, where his older self done killed her. And then her, I guess, her older self comes back to get Jonas. And Jonas lingering reminded me of Sodom and Gomorrah. He lingering, not going, and she trying to get him because she said, Jonas, come on, we don't have much time. He said, Martha, where'd you come from? She said, the question is not where I'm from, or however that goes. They got these little phrases that are catchy, as cute. He said, the question is not where did I come from, but what world did I come from? I said, oh, I'm thinking that she's an alien. And boom, the blob, the dark matter, which is saying, comes in, wiping out, completely wiping out that house that they're in, and it goes off. That goes off, and showing it that the Armageddon came, and the darkness just came in and just completely wiped that out. And it's supposed to reset. It's supposed to reset. It's supposed to destroy time, the matrix, the system. All of that is set up. It's supposed to destroy all of that because time, because everything. How they say in the movie, they say it's not. It's not real. Everything is an illusion. It's an illusion. It's not real. Therefore, the matrix, the time that created this 3D, and that's what they had, a symbol of three, which is the 3D symbol. Time, present, not time. Present, start over. Okay. Past, present, and future. Those three right there was the symbol that they kept showing on that heaven door that you open up, and then you would go through this cramp place and you would be into a whole nother time. You would be 33 years in the past. So with that, it came together, it destroyed time at the time. It destroyed the past, the future, the past, the present, and the future. It destroyed time, past, present, and future, and it brought it all together um, as one and destroyed it all. And what's left is cosmic. What left is cosmic. So, because you know the cosmos, there is no time. It's just consciousness. So, I don't know if what I'm saying making a lot of sense because of how I'm just saying it as the movie is not in the order that I saw it in. I'm just saying it whatever. I get better at this eventually as I do more and more reviews and decoding. But anyway, basically the movie was about time travel, the nuclear waste plant that they started in Germany back in 1921 when they put up the plans for it, and in 1953 when they hired the lady they call White Devil to run it. And okay, the woman, the White Devil lady, I forgot to mention her. She is a factor in it because it was between Jonas himself in 1943, which is the man that started this thing, who also hired the White Devil, which is I think her name is Magnus. Is it Hannah? No, Hannah is the one that Hannah is a Hannah is the husband of the guy that hanged himself. Um, so okay, let me see. So anyway, she's the lady that ran the nuclear plant, the first lady to run the nuclear plant. In the end, her father, he was a part of all of this, but it never made any sense to him. And in the end, he realized, in the end, he realized that his daughter had a lot to do with that because she ran. That she knew the moment she got there what they were doing, but you know how, well, you don't need to know this and that, you just do this and that. And she just ended up, accepting everything and it was, and just keeping the secret and covering up. And it was time for the secret to come out. But anyway, she understood the apocalypse was coming, and she wanted to save her dad, but her dad didn't want to be saved because he just understood that she was a part of all of that, and he was dying of cancer, and he had one of it. She just got in messing with him to come with her. But what they did was went to the bunker, so they could legally say anybody that was in the bunker. And in the end, it was it was Miko's it wasn't Miko. Yeah, it was Miko's dad or Miko's stepdad, whatever it was. I get it confused, but anyway, it was the people that ended up in the bunker were Jonas, the older Jonas. He put Martha in the bunker, but when Martha's sister, the deaf girl, and her mother's husband, which is her mother's husband, and her brother, they couldn't find her, so they went to the bunker anyway. Cause they said, cause they said this, cause he said Jonah said this, anybody in the bunker would be safe. So they went to the bunker, and when they went to the bunker, Martha runs out. They couldn't stop her. She runs out and she goes back to Jonas, which is um, his older self. But she ended up then, and then Jonas from that time he ended up being there, and the lady that ran the nuclear plant, one they call White Devil, because she came back from 1943 with Jonas from 1943, and those two had two separate agendas. Basically, the lady that run the plant, who's also the White Devil, when I wonder how she got that name. Her dad gave her that name because because he realized she was a part of all of that nuclear stuff that was going on, and he didn't want to leave with her, and she trying to get him to come. I guess he pushed something. He fell back and hit his head, and while he was dying, he called her White Devil. He said, "You're a White Devil." So, and she looked at him because now she realized where that name come from. And so she called an ambulance and whatever, and then she realized, you know, it ain't time. So she just sat back and watched her dad die. And then she ended up, she was sad. But she got up and she left. And the lady in 1943, she did came to see her and made, because she was that little girl from 1953. When her little dog got lost where Mika's father killed the little boy she was tutoring. And Jones also ended up being that boy also. But it just actually just crazy. But anyway, the little boy, the Doppel boy got upset because she was talking to the new boy, and he stole a stick into the tunnel, and the dog went into the tunnel and got lost. Well, well, the lady that ran the plant herself in 1943 made sure at that particular time on certain dates that that she would be there and that dog would go through time, and she saw her dog for when it ran away when she was like 10, and she finally see her dog again and she knew it was him. So she told her, I made sure that you were at that particular time and that she would send that dog to her. And they would tell each other stuff about each other that only they would know. So that's how they know these people 33 years older than them, or 33 years younger than them, or 66 years younger than them, or 66 years older than them. They would know that I am you. It's how they would do that. And so, in a way, and she told her 1940 self, told her in 2019 that you can see Regina, her daughter, because she didn't pay no attention to her daughter, and her daughter ended up forming. And she had a very sweet husband and a son named Bo something. And she ended up forming cancer, but he said he loved her and he took care of her, the hair and all of that going. And she said, you got time to save Hannah, you got time to save um, whatever her name was, Magnus or something. You got time to save her. So When she went to see her daughter in the end, her daughter, all her hair gone, she was, how they all have cancer and going through chemo. And she looked at her daughter and she hugged her daughter there because she never paid her daughter any attention, ever. So, and she got to her daughter coming, so she couldn't save her dad, but she saved her daughter. And she went and got her daughter and took her daughter to the bunker. So all four of them sitting in the bunker. Now while they're sitting in the bunker, they're safe. And everybody outside the bunker, well, the toxic waste, dark matter, destroyed time, completely erased the future, the present, and the past. Erase all of that, and everything come in a whole new world, starts all over again from scratch. So that's how that ends. So the main thing about the movie was it's about, so the code in the movie to me was about reincarnation. Um, Everybody is intertwined. We're all basically the same people. We are a particular people, and we come back. Then I heard about the third generation. We come back in the third generation, and the matrix, the system, time that has everybody in this illusion is that was destroyed. All that's being destroyed, and time and everything is being reset. So that's what I got from this movie. And I will see you on the next video. Bye.